Welcome to the Great Girlfriends podcast, where we discuss life, love, laughter, and everything in between. I'm your host, Sybil Amuti. What's going on, great girlfriends? Happy Wednesday to all of you around the world. Let's see, I think it's 105 countries and counting. So sending vibes to all of you. Much love today. I'm so excited because we do have a special guest, great girlfriend, on the show today. But before we jump into that, I am personally thanking all of you for jumping into our Facebook group. We are close to 20,000 strong, and it's because of you inviting all of your amazing great girlfriends to join us in the online community that the group is thriving. And I'm so excited about that. It means the world to us to see all of you connecting. People are getting jobs, relationships are changing. I'm seeing friendships forming. All kind of beautiful things that are happening in the Facebook group because of you being in there, being active, and really standing up for great girlfriend values. So shout out to all of you who have jumped in the Facebook group. And if you're not in the Facebook group, go on over to facebook.com. In your search bar, put in the Great Girlfriends, and you will see our page, which I'm asking for you to like. And then you'll also see the group, which you should request to join, and we will get you in there. I also want to shout out every single one of you that has given us an iTunes review. OMG, if it were not for the reviews, I don't know where we would be, child, because great girlfriends listen to you. They trust you. They want to know what you think about the show. And they go on and they write their own reviews based off of what you've said about us. It's kind of like the iTunes rumor mill in some sort of way, some kind of strange way. But anyway, do go on and write your review. They're super important, and it means the world to us to see what you think about the show. So I'm going to read this quick review from Brooklyn Hearted 20121. Her subject says, life-changing for me. She says, and I didn't say this, she said this. The Great Girlfriends podcast is like one of those movies that you have to watch about 5 times in order to digest it in its entirety. As a woman in her almost mid-30s, I have found the nuggets these ladies drop to be life-changing. I often go back and listen to episodes over again when I'm experiencing different things in my life, and I always uncover something new and beneficial. Brandis and Sybil are like the sisters I'd never had. Very thankful for this podcast. It is a part of my self-nourishing, self-caring routine. Thank you so much for that beautiful review, Brooklyn Hearted 20121. Thank you so much for that message. And thank you to every single one of you for listening each week, because your word of mouth has helped the show to grow and stay strong. And we're going to keep pressing into new ways to innovate the show and keep the audience connected, like our online community that we are launching in 2020. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, I want to introduce to you our exciting guest for the day, Miss Alechia Reese. Alechia is the Chief Brand Strategist of 360 Gateway Brands, author of the award-winning book Eating Elephants, Director of PR and Creative Marketing of Soledad O'Brien's Powerful Foundation, and the former Strategic Marketing Director of Disney star Zendaya Coleman's fashion line, Daya by Zendaya. She specializes in the development of brand identity, strategy, and execution. I love Alechia. She is a great girlfriend of mine. She is someone that I love to mastermind with. And more importantly, she's got this new book out called The Relationship Game that I think every woman needs to grab a copy of. So this week, I invited Alechia to jump on the show and talk to me a little bit about what the relationship game is all about and how each one of us can really elevate our relationship game through the tools and the tips that she offers in this book. So I'm inviting you to jump into this episode, but of course, grab your pen and paper first and do share it with a great girlfriend. Enjoy!
Great girlfriends, we are so super excited to bring to you another amazing great guest, great girlfriend, Miss Alechia Reese. Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Girl, super splendid, spectacular. Can you top that? How are you?
Ooh, well, I don't think I can top that. But I'm going to take those adjectives. I am super splendid too.
Yes, join me at the super splendid, spectacular affair. Let's just be there together.
What?
Hey, Alechia.
Hey, Sybil.
I am so hyped because Alechia, y'all, is on this amazing tour called the Relationship Game Tour, and she's
Yes.
taking a break to vibe with us and give us some of the scoop and some of the intel that she's been providing on the tour. But Alicia, before we dive into all of that, before you became the Relationship Game Tour expert and curator, you've always been in the strategy game. So I want to talk a little bit about your background, Alicia, how you got into all of this and why the Relationship Game Tour has even come about.
Absolutely. So I started in a very interesting place in that we grew up very, very poor. So we didn't have running water in our house for an entire year, and we didn't have electricity for 6 months when I was growing up. And we had to constantly figure out, okay, not only how will we bathe, but then what are we going to do when it gets too dark to move around in the house? So from a young person, I've always had to figure out, this is where I am, this is where I desire to be, and then how do I bridge and build that gap? Very early on, my mom taught us how to fundraise. And it was super embarrassing at the time because we would have to put on our school uniforms. We would collect our buckets that we had designed and take the school brochure because it was a private Christian school. And we would have to go on St. Armand Circle and walk the entire circle asking folks who were visitors to the circle, who were from other countries. We would have to pitch to them why they should support our desire to go to our private Christian school with their money. Rough.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, for years.
Wow. Yeah.
We did it every year, every single year to raise our registration. We would raise our registration to go. And then during the year, my mother would barter cleaning services so that we could go for basically next to nothing because there were 3 of us, and then she had my little brother, so then there became 4 of us. So that was a lot of kids to be putting through private school. And what it did is, and don't get me wrong, I hated it at the time. I hated every piece of it because it just made me feel as though I was lower than everyone else because I didn't see anyone else having to do it. I think there was only one other family in our community who would fundraise, only they would sell cookies and things like that. But we were just straight up, here's my pitch. This is why it's advantageous for you to donate to my cause. And I would love for you to donate with, sometimes we would ask people for $1,000 or $500. Mind you, I was 12. So to have like a 12-year-old, we started when I was around 10, but to have like a 10 or 12-year-old pitching, because that's literally what it is.
Yeah.
Pitching why folks should support us, it made me a strategist very, very early because I didn't like it. So I started thinking of ways that I could not do that.
Absolutely. Right. Isn't it something because, our parents are doing their best and they are teaching us how to work through, life at that very early age. They're teaching us the best they know how, not realizing that they're cultivating these beasts, right? Because
absolutely,
out of right. Think about that, because out of all of that, for you, what would have been embarrassment during that time, and a little bit of shame probably tied to the idea of having to even go pitch, has propelled it and actually trained and built this muscle that you lean into so heavily. More probably than any other muscles, because I don't know if great girlfriends, but you can't get through life without pitching. And let's be clear, I think we all need to be strategists, right? We all need to learn our style, how to stylize our strategy. We also need to understand that we are pitching and selling, and we need to be the number one salesperson in our organization, in our family. We need to best represent ourselves. But you can't get through life without pitching. And the sooner you recognize that you are pitching and that you are selling and that you are really advertising and promoting yourself everywhere you go and everything you do, you can become more aware of it and conscious and awake in the way that you present things, right?
Exactly. And you hit the nail on the head with the pitching of yourself. So we had to put ourselves in the position to say, the reason why you want to support me going to school is because there's something in me that either you or your children will need. So in helping me go to school now, you're helping to secure your future. Whether or not we lived in the same country, whether or not we lived in the same state, we had to get some real confidence about us, which you can't pay for that. You can't pay for confidence. But what my mother did at a very, very early age is that she taught us strategy. And all of my siblings are strategic. Now, I think as I'm the oldest, I may have it the best. But all of us are strategic in that it's okay, I'm not going to accept the fact that I do not have it or I cannot put it in my hands immediately as an excuse or as, okay, well, this is the reason that I cannot do X, Y, or Z. For us, it's always, this is where I am currently. This is where I desire to be. And now let me reverse engineer this in order to, like I said, bridge that gap to get what I need.
Yeah. That's so good. I love it. I love it. And so much of success, I think, is actually reverse engineering, because you see yourself well beyond the place that you actually sit in. And so you have got to, and I mean, don't get me wrong. Some people are born into certain things and they can just build from where they started. And many of us have started from a different place where we had to grow, grind, pitch even harder, visualize more, manifest so much more than the situations or circumstances that we were born into or sit in. And we've had to reverse engineer some of the successes that we've created. And so for you now, Alechia, because, I can safely say every time we have a conversation, I think brilliance, just the aroma of brilliance is just in the air. And I think the stimulation is there because it is, girl. It is. Because, you can sit in conversations, great girlfriends, and some people will just glue you to, you're looking for escape. Can I get out of that window? Is it locked? Can I go under this table? Will this person notice if I crawl under this table? Because of the lack of stimulation. You want to sit down with someone, and even if we're sharing girlfriend stories, there's stimulation in it. There's storytelling. There's strategy. There's lessons. There's growth. There's excitement. There's thrill. There's always takeaways. There's always takeaways. And you do a masterful job at leaving takeaways on the table in every conversation, every time. So I feel very passionate. For that one. Oh, girl, you do it. You do it. You do it well. And I feel passionately about the relationship game tour because I see how you are creating the table and leaving those takeaways for people to grab as they need. And I mean, hopefully people will grab them all, but I see how that environment is being curated. So give us that light bulb, because I did. No?
I said, I truly hope so.
Oh, I thought you said, actually, no. I was like, wait, what?
Oh, no, I say I truly hope so.
Yeah. Tell me, though, you wrote this book at Imara, if I'm not mistaken. Did I read that accurately?
Yes, actually, I wrote it at Imara. I was uncoupling from a relationship that I had been in that honestly was not going anywhere, unfortunately. And I knew I had known it for a while, but I was mourning, honestly, that relationship because I wanted it so badly. And at Imara, I was up really, really late. Now, we had some late nights having fun, but one of the nights where I was just up really late, I was asking myself, because I always believe in taking inventory of, okay, what has this situation taught me? Because there's always a lesson to learn. So what has this situation taught me? And then how did I get in this space? And where I was going to initially a very sad place, I started going over what are a lot of the things that I've done that I'm so proud of myself for, because you have to pick yourself back up sometimes when you get kind of low. And I was going over it. I was musing over, taking a look, taking inventory, and I just got excited. And I was like, good Lord, how am I doing that? I hadn't even realized it. And then it kept going back to this opportunity came because of this relationship. That opportunity came from that relationship. And then I just started Googling relationships and Googling articles about people who've done things that are similar to the things that I've either done or haven't done. And then I stumbled across a post on Instagram, actually, from a young woman who was talking about a Forbes article and about Black women making, on average, having $28,000 in sales annually. And I was like, oh, that can't be. I know some pretty amazing women who are doing some phenomenal things that can't be right. So I kept Googling. And I Googled and found the article, and I read through the entire article, and they had links to the Federal Reserve and the research that they had done. And I was like, OMG, they are telling the truth. They did surveys. It's the truth. On average, it says that Black women make 5 times less than white women and 2 times less than Hispanic women-owned businesses. And so I took a look at my company and what we had been able to create in less than 3 years. And I said, okay, I could do something about this. And instead of continuing to grieve and wallow in my sadness, which, listen, I was committed to, I'm just going to be honest. I was committed to that wallow for, I'm going to just wallow for like 2 or 3 days. I didn't even get through the first night.
Yeah.
I started writing the book, and every time I had a free moment, I would be on my phone. I was still laughing and joking and still very much engaged and very much present. But when I had those alone moments, I was just writing. I wrote my outline of, okay, what do I want each chapter to look like? What do I want the takeaways to be? Because for me, I don't just want to inspire. I need to know that I made an impact, and that impact transformed you, and you can take what I've given and you can change things for yourself. Yeah. And so I wrote out in very, very clear detail, what are the 5 most advantageous or the most effective plays that have worked in my life? Because if they've worked for me and I know what position I was in, I know they'll work for others. And so I wrote it all out. I had a very, very rough draft when I left South Africa. And I came back and I started adding more meat to it, And then I was taking a shower and I kept hearing all these names of these amazing entrepreneurial women that I knew. Your name was one of them. And I reached out to them. I said, okay, I know I can't just tell my story because my story isn't enough. It's not expansive enough just yet. I need to also add the stories of other folks who have used the building of relationships to completely design the lives that they wanted. And from that birthed the relationship game. And then I was like, you know what? Let's take this on tour too. Because writing the book isn't enough. Let's take it on tour.
Of course, not for you. Not for this achiever named Alechia Reese. She's like, no. This has to be
doing all the things.
Oh, my goodness. So, Alechia, so many of our great girlfriends are sitting in a space in their town, around the world. We reach 148 U.S. markets in 100 countries. So we've got people in very small towns and large cities saying, I don't have the relationships that I need to build what I desire to see. What do you say to that?
I tell them like I said, there are 5 plays in the book. And I tell folks every single time, the first thing you want to do is start with you. Start with you. And how you do that is to know your no's. There are 4 no's, and I don't mean N-O, I mean K-N-O-W-S. The first one is know what problem you're solving. When you know exactly what problem you're solving, there's a confidence in you that you can't help but have because you know exactly what you change. You know exactly what you do. And then the second one is know what you're offering. Yes, you're solving a problem, but what are you offering? How are you solving that problem? And then the third one is know the audience you're offering it to. You have to be clear on that because many times what I see a lot of folks do is when they go to an event or they go to where they're networking, quote unquote, which I don't believe in, but we'll get to that later. But when they go and they're networking, they try and pass their business card out to every single person in the room. And it's exhausting and expensive because business cards cost money. They're not free that I know of. Unless you know if they're free, Sybil?
Well, if they are free, they are so flimsy that they won't make it into the next hand without unraveling. So
exactly. So it's not worth it.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it. So be clear on the audience that you're offering it to, and then know the manner in which they can receive it. depending on the audience, they may or may not be able to receive you coming up to their office, showing up and presenting them with a proposal. That might not work. That might get you carted out by security.
Right.
Know the manner in which they can receive what it is that you're pitching and offering. That's play number one, know your no's. And then play number two is have a plan and a strategy. Your plan is great, but it doesn't mean anything if you're not actually executing. Your strategy is how you're executing. And then play number two is go to events, but not just any and every event. Be very strategic about the events that you go to with the goal of connecting with one or two genuine folks. That's it.
Right.
Don't worry. Just one or two. Don't, again, try and connect with every single person in the room because, A, that's how you get yourself poisoned, connecting with any and everything. And B, when you go to those events, if you just only try and connect with those one or two folks, you're able to actually connect because you're no longer in a rush.
That's right.
You humanize them. It's not a what do you do. Listen, treat folks as humans because that's what we all are. We all desire connection. And if you go at it from that standpoint, then you're not asking them, oh, well, what do you do? That's none of your business just yet. What about their character? Do you like them? Do you like the person? Because sometimes you're trying to connect with folks and you don't even like them as people.
You don't even like them. And you don't care to have, all you care for is their title. You don't even care for them as a person.
Exactly.
You don't care no more about how you can support the work they're doing. Yeah. And so when you chase those titles, it puts you in a dangerous spot because you find yourself in a circus show trying to prove that you want to be around a person that you don't even care to build rapport with. It's absolutely right. Completely right, Alechia. Yeah.
Exactly. That connection is so important.
I want to ask you this question because I don't, and this is really quick. Alechia will give you the whole book, and I'm going to tell her not to do that in this moment. I'm going to tell Alechia to have people pre-order this book. I'll give you all the tips. She's going to be like, okay, and then there's number 5 because she's a teacher and a giver. Awesome.
You see, I'm a giver.
And I love the giver in you, but you just gave them 4 no's they could just go knock down today and apply, and that would move that mountain of I don't know the right people. And I don't know how to do this, and I'm not in the right city. That if they take what you just provided, so I'm going to say we might get to the next one, but we're going to sit on this for a second. Let me ask you this question, Alechia. Have you ever sat in a spot, because just so we're clear, living in New York doesn't mean you have access to everyone all the time. New York can be the loneliest city on earth with all these people and all these pre-built circles and, relationships that have been 20, 30 years in, or sometimes you new to the city. Some of us have been new at some point and felt like, wow, this city is overwhelming. What were some of the ways, Alechia, that, and circles are important, right? Because, especially when you're networking, or I would say networking, or rephrase it, when you're connecting or building bridges as a woman, a lot of times you're running up against circles of pre-existing relationships that they've done the venue together, the Hamptons together, they travel together, et cetera. What are some of the ways that our great girlfriends out there who feel the circles have been met and they want to break into the circle or at least find out what the circle is about, what are some of the things that you think they can do to really connect in that way?
So many times what I've heard is people say, oh, I'm new to the city and I'm lonely or I'm alone. And so what I always do, especially when I moved here, because I didn't have a network when I moved here. So it was just me, my sister, and my daughter. I did not have one. It didn't exist. But what I did know is, and I said, look and see what you have in your hand. I knew 3 good folks, just 3, 3 good folks. And I asked them, I said, hey, I really do want to build some really strong connections here. And I wasn't even calling them relationship time. I said, I want to build some really strong connections here. Can you tell me 1 or 2 events that I can go to that A, has executives and professionals like me who are looking to make an impact in the world, and B, a place that I can call my own, because as an entrepreneur, there is no office that I'm going to. I'm not going to an office. So a place that cultivates entrepreneurs that'll give me a space and a spot that I can go to on a consistent basis to just continue to meet people. And she gave me two actual events that I needed to attend. And I went. I just went. I didn't have any business cards. My only expectation was I just wanted to meet one friend. I didn't even say one or two at the time. I just wanted to meet one friend. And I went there and I just walked up to another person who was standing alone by the bar. And I said, "Oh my goodness, how'd you hear about the event?" That was it. And from there, she and I connected. And what it did for me is because going into a place by yourself is scary. I'm not going to act like, "Oh no, be brave, it's fine." No, it can be a little scary.
Yes.
So for me, what I did is, number one is I asked someone who was already in that city, just give me one or two events that I should go to that can help me in building connection, that can help me in building a tribe. And then I actually showed up, which is one of the sometimes hardest parts ever, is the showing up. And I didn't have a full-on business plan or idea that I could pitch to anyone. I just showed up to connect. That was it. Yeah. And that was the start of everything. And then I started following hashtags because now we've got some help. We've got social media. So I started following the hashtag of the event. And then from that event, I started finding certain people, and I saw the other events that they would go to. And then because I was super clear on what my value was and what I brought to the table, even though I wasn't pushing the business at that time, I knew the value I brought to the table. And I'm like, you know what? I'm a pretty okay person. I think I'm pretty kind. Everybody needs a kind person in the crew. I'm just going to go to these places where they are, because you can't expect people to knock on your door and say, "Hey, let's be friends." You know, not that you shouldn't have that type of faith, but for me, I like to do the working part of the whole faith, community. So I would just go and I would just meet folks and talk and be open and be present, and then not try and force myself on every person in the room. And I didn't always connect with everybody, and I was cool with that.
Yeah. I love that. I think it's so important because, sometimes when I sit back and I hear the stories, I'm like, well, now time is passing. Your zest, your energy around connecting with people starts to diminish. And you kind of have to have a sense of urgency around these things. Because ultimately, because you can easily fall into, like you said, even when you were mourning the loss of that relationship, you can nestle into that mood if you want to. Or you can rebound and say, "Hey, instead of getting lonely in my city, let me plug into something and then let me build in. If I don't like where I plugged in, I can unplug and then I can go plug in somewhere else." But
that's good.
Right? You can unplug. If you don't like it, you can pull out. You don't have to you don't have to feel obligated to people, at any given point when you realize that the wave is going in a different direction, or it's just not your fit. You can unplug and you can plug into a different circle. Absolutely.
Yes, you totally can. Oh, listen, that just gave me chills. You can unplug.
It's true. Completely. The thing about it, I think that it's so important for people to realize with relationship and how we connect is that, one, you're connecting with humans, which you said is so important. You say humans first, professionals probably third, because I'm human, I'm wife, I'm mama, I'm sister, I'm daughter. Oh, and then
the title. All the way down the line.
You have like 5 points of intersection before you even, before you even get to my fifth care, which is my career, my passion. You got all the other stuff that matters more to me. So if you tap into my priorities, you're definitely going to connect to me at a human level. But also, we have a choice in all of it, in relationships, and we have a choice in the ones that we can build and cultivate. And the gains that we get out of it, we actually have a choice in that. And what you taught at the Relationship Game Tour in New York was a reminder that if we apply our best, if we optimize what we bring to the table, we'll see a greater abundance of choices in our relationship. Right?
Absolutely.
Because your cousin can end up being your accountant, can end up being your link to your next business, to your next investor, can end up being your link to your driver, to your buddy pass, to the flights to go to these different events in different cities, right? If you optimize the amount of access that you have to a relationship, meaning what you put into it. If you optimize your relationship and get curious about the ones you already have, you will see how fertile they are, and you'll see how much advantage you already have in your hand. But it's about, I think, knowing the choice, right?
Yes. Listen, you passed the collection plate. That was so good. And listen, yeah, you do. So just let me know where I PayPal my offering.
You've already given your offering, girl. But we have choice in it.
It is so true. And the fact is what you said, and it's what I constantly am emphasizing, is while you're trying to connect so deep to the next one, the next one, the next one, the next one, you have literal goals in your backyard. And I don't want to take it, too biblical or anything like that. But there's a parable where the prophet asked the woman, well, what do you have in your house? And she kept saying, well, I don't have anything. And his natural response is, well, I can't do anything if you have nothing. There's got to be something that you have. What do you have in your house? And she finally goes, oh, well, I have a little bit of oil. Okay, great. Let's use that. Put it in the pouring position, and then keep it in the pouring position so that you never go hungry again. I take that same principle for our lives. Take a look at what you have in your hand. Like I said, when I got to New York, I had 3 good folks, just 3. New York, there are millions of people here. I had 3. But in those 3, I have been able to move. And it seems like mountains sometimes when I look things over, because I wasn't so busy and trying to let me scramble to connect with this and this and this and this and this. It was what gold do I already have in my back pocket or in my hand that I can leverage, that I can say, hey, I'm great at this. How can I help you achieve this, which will in turn help me go even further? It's something different that happens when you take a look at what you have. In today's society, many times, too many folks are looking at, well, I don't have this, I don't have this, I don't have that. And you'll continue to not have, because that's what you're putting out into your universe. But if you shift that perspective to 180 to see, I do have this, but I do have that. And then you, like you said, reverse engineer that to see, now, how can I create what it is that I say I ultimately want? Your entire life changes, but it absolutely starts with you. You can't keep looking outside of yourself for every other thing, because the title doesn't matter, because the title, it's not with you when you're looking in the mirror. You are looking in the mirror. So you need to figure out, who am I at my core? What are my values? What do I bring to the table? What am I excited about in life? How do I add value to others' lives? How am I giving back? You connect so deep with that, you can't help. Building relationships becomes easy because you know who you are. You walk into a room and you're instantly changed, or the room is instantly changed, because you bring with you a certain energy, and energy is everything.
It's everything. It is everything. It is everything. Which is, what we talked about at Church Toy Stop in New York, just bringing your presence. Just start with your presence. What if you leave your cards at home? Some people feel naked. I feel naked. I left my cards. I stopped carrying cards 2 years ago, and I have never felt more present. I'm telling you. And most people in business will say, you don't have cards? I don't have cards, but I bring my whole self, and I am so willing to pass my information and receive information from anyone I deem valuable to what I'm doing or where I'm going. But I bring my presence, and it's my expectation that my presence will be strong enough. I've placed all of the effort on me, not the card anymore. The card used to be like, bam, there's the card, see the title. Now you know. No, I don't have a bam anymore. I'm the bam.
Yes.
When I come,
you are the bam.
I'm the bam, right? And all the weight that I placed on the title and the card, I placed that on my presence, and I've decided that I am going to be the one to move myself in the way that I need to move with presence, like you have you just articulated so beautifully. And in that, it is enough. That's a good start to anything. Yes. Now, for some people, don't get me wrong, some people use cars for convenience, and you want to be able to pass it really quickly if you're in a high-paced environment, et cetera. And if that's your way, I understand it. And then there are some meetings where everyone throws their card on the table first. I get it. I totally get it. But I also think that if someone loses a card, they need to remember at least one thing you said, something that you did in the room that made a difference, and that can cause them to even ask someone else, remember the woman that said or did or da-da-da-da? Remember her? Do you remember her, the woman that was doing that?
And they can't remember that if all you did is boom your card.
Yeah.
Because everybody did that. So what did you do different?
You shuffling through cards and it's like, no. It was what she said, or it was how she, who she spoke, or the gesture that she offered. It was something, that difference that she made. And Alicia's teaching all that. So I'm saying all that to say, great girlfriends, Alicia's just dropping every gem in her book for free 99, and I'll thank her afterwards. You need to get with Alechia and this book. That's what needs to happen. Yes. Basically, you need to pre-order. You need to get this book, and you need to study it. Study this book, because in 2020, you don't want to walk into these rooms feeling blind and feeling scared and feeling like you're not prepared. Even if it's at a restaurant, like the DMV, my best relationships did not necessarily happen at an event. Most of them happened, at a mommy date, or at church. Different places. You just never know. So you don't want to, assume that all of your networking, quote unquote, has to happen in a business environment. Most of my businesses actually happen in personal environments, if I have to be honest.
Yes. Listen, that part. That part. And that was from being open, like just connecting. Again, that's treating them as a human. That's it.
Right. That's right.
Listen.
Okay,
this
Alechia.
Right here. Yes.
They need to pre-order.
Yes.
Where are they going?
Pre-order. You go to relationshipgametour.com. It is the absolute first graphic on there that says pre-order your book now. If you can read, you press the graphic and it'll take you to pre-order. Just that easy. We made it easy for you.
I love it. And now, in true great girlfriend form, we never ask that you buy one. We always ask that you buy at least 3. Buy 3, one for yourself. Yes, and you have to share, because this is a very important message. I love the idea that if we can be empowered to create strategy and to build the right connections, we can get out of that $28,000 range that is just completely whack and inappropriate. Like, we can really move the needle on our revenue, right? We could do that.
Absolutely. We absolutely can, because within, like I said, my company, we're now 6 years old. When I started building relationships intentionally and building connections, in our first year of us moving to New York, we went from $35,000 a year to over 6 figures. And I've consistently hit 6 figures each and every year, simply using the power of relationships. I don't know how many text messages and DMs that I get saying, oh my God, I used your strategy. It worked. I got the interview. I got the position. I got the opportunity. A woman living in the UK, I had shared with how I pulled in Soledad O'Brien as my client, and I shared it openly because you receive blessings so you can bless others. And she sent me a message, and I screenshot it, and I'll share it here later. But she sent me a message, and she said, I used the exact strategy that you suggested I use, and I landed a position with one of the top agencies in the UK. It worked.
Wow.
The strategies work.
I love it. I love it. I love it. That is good stuff. And give us the next tour dates, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. So we are in California Thursday this week. So that's September the 26th, I believe. That's September the 26th. We'll be in California. But then now that's the end of the first leg of the tour. But OMG, that second leg, it's going to be so exciting. It's going to be a 5-city tour. And that one will begin in October. And we'll be announcing those dates soon. So make sure you're plugged in, relationshipgametour.com.
I love it. And Alechia, where can I find you on social media?
So I am everywhere under the spelling of my name. It's Alechia, last name Reese, Reese, and that is everywhere. Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, everywhere.
I love it. Alechia, thank you so much. Thank you for the gift of this book. It's so practical. You can implement it, girlfriends. You can change some of the ways that are the habits and undo some of the poor patterns and create new habits that will allow you to create the success you're looking for. You can connect with Alechia. She's such an available resource in great girlfriend form and business form. She's just all added value, So thank you for tuning in this week. Alechia, thank you for being here with us. Thank you for all that you do and for what you continue, the ways you continue to serve women with your message.
We could not end this podcast without thanking our amazing husbands.
Yes, thank you, Kwaku.
And thank you so much, Rich Daniel.
And our beautiful children, thank you, Sam and Dylan.
And thank you, Miss Sky Daniel.
And thank you to all of you great girlfriends for trusting us as your go-to source for everything life, love, and laughter.
You can check us out on our social, on Instagram,
The Great Girlfriends,
on Twitter,
_great GFS,
and on Facebook,
The Great Girlfriends.
And please make sure that you join our Facebook group, which is over 16,000 women strong.
Absolutely. And make sure you listen every single Wednesday on iTunes, Spotify, Podcast Bean, Podcast Republic, Google Play, and every other podcasting service.
Absolutely.
Be sure to post your questions, share with your friends, keep listening, and keep being a great girlfriend. I'm Sybil.
And I'm Brandon.
And we're signing off.
Peace.
Peace.